the ground!
Good evening, Warden. I think these two men should be safe here with you now till they can get a fair trial.
Who is it, Superman?
Lex Luthor, the greatest criminal mind of our time.
MultiVersus. It's like Smash Bros, but Warner Bros. But you probably already know that by now. In the first one of these I said I wanted to see more villainous characters joining the fray. But we're stepping up big time from the wacky antics of Dastardly and Muttley, and going on to talk about the bald billionaire bastard and supremo supervillain of DC, Lex Luthor. This dude is known for giving Superman a run for his money multiple times, and going to a lot of lengths to try and get rid of him. And whether it be creating clones, running for president, or just straight up trying to kill the guy. And now that there's an entire multiverse opening itself up to him, we all know he's going to be hatching some scheme to take advantage of that. But what's that going to entail, you ask? Well, there's only one way to find out. Alright, I know some people might not be as interested in this prospect as other characters we've done for these, given how Lex is from DC, which already has the most reps out of anyone on the roster. And we're likely to see a lot more coming, what with having a bunch of movies to tie in with and all. Lord knows I don't want this game to have its own Fire Emblem controversy, but at the same time, it's Lex freaking Luthor. You think that's gonna stop him?
Wrong!
This guy is pretty much the face of DC's supervillains. He's the mortal man who rivals one of the most powerful heroes of his world. Everyone knows who he is, whether he's screwing with heroes with a phony political campaign, or just stealing 40 cakes. There's really no reason for Lex to not be included down the line, aside from the roster potentially getting too many DC characters. But even then, I think we could easily justify him being in the game. I mean, it's not like we're dealing with the prankster or anything like that. Not to mention, Lex has already gotten his feet wet with crossovers before. I'm not going to linger on this for too long since I don't think there needs to be much explaining here. So let's just move on to what Mr. Luthor brings to the table. Obviously, Lex would need to be fighting in his trusty warsuit, making him a tank character, just like his arch-nemesis. Now, Lex isn't known for being much of a team player, unless you want to count leading the Hall of Doom, but for his teamwork gimmick, we can include a callback to his Everyman project, where he injects his special serum into teammates for a random buff, or into his opponents for a random debuff. Maybe make it like Taz's chicken gimmick, where he has to hit a certain number of attacks or meet some other criteria for the sake of balancing. As for what Lex could do to fight on his own, we could easily pull some moves from his other fighting game appearances. Simple stuff like shooting kryptonite beams, swinging around a big ol' axe, putting up force fields to block attacks, using flamethrowers or missiles for ranged attacks, or using his energy claws for melee combos. Maybe we could even reference his super move in the Injustice games for one of his specials. He could hack into one of his satellites, setting up a targeting reticle somewhere on the stage to shoot down a giant laser sometime later. Kind of like Rain Dog Special, except less frequent and more, well, deadly. And for moves that pull more from Lex's character, a key part of that is that he really wants to be Superman, just to prove he's better than him. So maybe some of his other specials could literally be him trying to copy Supes. Not to the extent where he'd be an Echo Fighter or anything, obviously. But stuff like him copying his up special or his targeted punch. Maybe with increased range, but less damage and knockback, to reflect how he's never going to be like the man he hates so much. Yeah, you didn't think we were going to get that deep into a moveset video, did you? Clancy Brown. Well, that was easy. Yeah, I know Lex has had plenty of different people portraying him over the years, but let's not kid ourselves. Brown's portrayal is easily one of the best. He captures Lex's smug, overconfident despicableness perfectly. Plus, most of the other DC characters in the game are already being reprised by their most iconic voice actors. So it would be a pretty big missed opportunity to not get Brown back for Lex here. As for what he'd say, let's just clear out the obvious first. You need to have some special interactions with Mr. Not Iron Man. A lot of villainous dialogue about how he should save himself first, about how humanity ill needs a savior such as him, or maybe just accusing him of being why he's bald. Of course, he'd also need some interactions with the other DC characters, like his fellow rich dude Batman. Perhaps having him drop his real name since he was one of the few people to figure out he's actually Bruce. Or just comparing wealth for a dick measuring contest. There's also a lot of stuff suggesting the Joker will be in this game at some point, in which case Lex will also need some interactions with him, considering they have a history as tenuous allies. For non-DC dudes, against Velma he could compare her intelligence to his and put her down as some high school dropout unmasking ghosts for a living. Maybe he could make jabs against Steven or Finn for being naive children. And we could also have Bugs jokingly call him Elmer to his annoyance, since they've used the FUD as a stand-in for Luthor a couple of times. Oh, and speaking of Looney Tunes, while he's not in the game yet, if they ever add Daffy, then we need some interactions between them, calling back to the time Lex wanted to kill him for saying he was uncircumcised. Yes, this is real. I already brought up how Lex would be fighting in his standard war suit for most of the time, so I think for his alternate skins it would make sense for him to don other suits he's used over the years. One of which could be his Superman suit for the time he took up the mantle of him, complete with the iconic S and everything. Yeah, I told you he was a total tsundere. We could also give him some translucent orange armor like he gave himself during his time with an Orange Lantern, again complementing Superman's Black Lantern skin. Would be kinda weird if we had every Lantern spectrum except green represented in this game, but I digress. Also, it seems a lot of the characters are going to pull some influence from the DC animated universe when it comes to their skins. And in Lex's case, I figured it would be really cool if we gave him his look from when he fused with Brainiac from the Justice League Unlimited show. This skin could even have unique dialogue from the Brainiac himself as if he's taken full control of Lex's body. Ideally with Corey Burton reprising the role. Apparently Brainiac's already referenced in Trophy's Edge, so it would make sense for him to show up in some way here. Animation-wise, I think they should really play up Lex's confident sliminess, constantly flexing his superiority every second he gets. Have him call his opponent weak-minded in one of his taunts, or have him style on his opponents with some of his sweet dance moves. Sure, why not? And for a potential stage he could come with, I'm thinking the Hall of Doom. Yes, from the Super Friends cartoon. It's shown up plenty of times after that in other media, and they already referenced the Wonder Twins in this game, so not like it'd be that much of a stretch. Plus, the perfect stage for Lex would be one that's tied to DC's greatest villains. One that isn't Arkham, I mean. Maybe we could have cameos from the other Legion of Doom members in the background, like Grundy, Black Manta, Giganta, so on and so forth. And to go even further with that idea, maybe they could even act as stage hazards, getting in some cheap shots on the fighters from the background, as any good evildoer would. And there you have it, my vision for a perfect Lex Luthor moveset in MultiVersus, just like his vision of a perfect world without Superman. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but still fun to think about. Hopefully this sold you on the idea of this bald billionaire being in the game, and if not, well, he'll probably just buy his way into it anyway.
You will never control me, Luthor. Never!
Well then, I guess I'll have to kill you.